Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Entrepreneurial Truth Podcast. My guest this week is, why do I always say this week? I know it's not this week, it's like today, so that's fine. My guest today is Paige Louise Neener, a soul-driven somatic embodiment practitioner. Paige's mission is to create a global change in the realms of embodied sexuality and self-love, especially for young women. When she isn't devoting her life to changing the world, you'll probably find her outside barefoot in the grass, spending time with her family. Welcome to the show, Paige.
Thanks, Jim. I love that.
Yeah, it was cool. I like the barefoot in the grass thing. That was awesome.
Yeah, I'm a true hippie.
I see. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so first question. First, I got to take the glasses off because you know the glare is going to drive everyone crazy, including myself. So now I'm officially blind. I can't see you at all. So that's great. My first question for you is, what made you want to become an entrepreneur? Or do what you do. I mean, either or.
Yeah, so I specifically wasn't like thinking about being an entrepreneur. It was just that this work kind of fell in my lap really beautifully. And I suppose the best way for me to get into this would be talking about how I got into this work. So I fell pregnant at 16, and I now have 2 children. But when I fell pregnant, it was like the day I found out I was pregnant, it was like something in my brain switched, and all of a sudden I had no libido, no arousal. I was just not interested in having sex or anything. And that went on for roughly 7 years, and I felt very broken. I did a lot of healing in the realms of kind of like spirituality and a lot of meditation, and just learning about grounding and all of that sort of stuff. But it still felt like this big piece was missing, and I was still really struggling. Like I was really caught in my mind. I really struggled to just fully feel whole and abundant and complete. Like there was just still these pieces missing. And I just happened to do this free course online for 5 days with Victoria Redbard, who's also a somatic sexologist. And it changed my, it changed my life. Mm. And then she started offering this course in learning how to become a somatic sexologist or somatic embodiment practitioner, which I like to call myself. And she was offering this course, and every single cell in my body was screaming, yes, you need to do this. And it has propelled me forward immensely. It has literally altered my life in every single aspect. And I've never felt so full or aligned or complete, in my entire life.
This is deeply personal, and it's like a mission for you. I have to say this. I mean, I know we're going to go into some topics that are going to be, maybe a little controversial. I don't think this episode is for kids. So I just want to make sure that you know that. I'm going to mark that on the YouTube thing as well. And it's adult subject matter. And I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that before we continued on. I think this is a deeply personal mission for you. It seems like it's just in your soul. I totally see that. Was there anything in doing this, because you're putting yourself out there? I mean, you're literally exposing everything on the inside for everyone to see. Did you have any issue with that internally, or something that kind of held you back?
Absolutely. Judgment in particular, especially the people close to me, was really difficult. But it's sort of the more that I did this work for myself and the deeper I went within, the less resistance I had to it, and the more I just started to just fully show up and not be ashamed of being seen in all that I am.
Yeah. That it's something I applaud you for, because it's difficult to be out there in front of everybody. Yeah, you know what I mean? Just out there for everyone to see and everybody to judge and everybody to criticize even.
And they do in this realm of work.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure, the names and all the other stuff and the shame and things, and what I see or what I really believe is that you're trying to take the shame out of what you do for other people.
Absolutely.
Kind of
I believe
leading the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really do believe that a lot of humanity are very disconnected from this part of themselves because there is so much shame around it. And, you know, we come from sex. It's our life force energy. And when we are so detached from it and we possess shame about our desires and, you know, we're just shameful or we, suppress our desires, it's suppressing our core essence. It's suppressing who we are. And so we aren't able to show up fully. We do become really disconnected with who we are. We become so caught in our minds because we aren't feeling fulfilled. We aren't feeling whole and like empowered, you know, because we're suppressing a big, big part of us.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's hard because it's kind of a taboo subject, especially in families. I mean, it's not really talked about around the dinner table. I mean, you know what I mean? So we all kind of tiptoe around sex and all those things. And I think that what you're doing is bringing, I want to say, a virtuous side to it to me. I mean, it's hard to explain that, but I think that, you know, what you're doing is shedding a light on something that we don't talk about, and maybe we should.
Yes. Absolutely. You know, I have 2 young children and I'm very open. Like I do it in such a way that it's age appropriate. But, you know, my eldest, he is 6.5 and I've explained to him how babies are made. I used to feel as if it would make him grow up too quickly and he'd lose his innocence, for example. But he's still so pure and he's still, you know, like he still believes in Santa and all of those beautiful things like the tooth fairy. And I don't believe that it's taking away his innocence at all. It's just educating him on how bodies work and how babies are made. And there's nothing to be ashamed of in regards to sex and sexuality and masturbation and, you know, like children, young children, my daughter and my son have both touched their genitals and I don't shame it. I will never, ever tell them not to do it. I just ask them to do it in their bedrooms.
Right.
Because I know, like, I was very young when I started masturbating and nobody knew about it for a very long time. I had nobody to talk to, or I felt as though I had nobody to talk to about it. And so, you know, I've grown up with this shame of just the fact I was so young when I started masturbating that I recall. And that then leads into other areas of sexuality, you know, that, oh, if that's wrong, then maybe this is wrong.
So,
and it all just continues to pile up onto this big pool of shame.
It does. And the thing is, when you bring things up like that, people are going to be like, oh, whoa, what am I watching today? I want you to maybe address that type of thing, the people out there that you know, that kind of believe that closed-minded type thing.
I guess I would be questioning why.
Yeah.
Why do you feel that way? Where is this belief coming from, truly? And not trying to be like, oh, no, it's just what I believe. I don't believe that. There is usually, like, if you really looked within or thought about it and were willing to be open-minded about this, you would go, hang on. I recall when I was 7 years old, a conversation my mum had with me, for example, and, you know, it made me feel small and shamed. And so now I've just adapted this, you know, the psychosocial issues around sexuality, and I've just taken them on as my own, and I have never second-guessed it because for whatever reason. And I think having compassion for yourself is really important in regards to this, because it can be really easy to be like, you know, maybe you are very open-minded and you start to realize, wow, whoa, like it's big stuff, you know, realizing that this part of yourself you've pushed aside because of, I guess you can start to feel like, how did I not see it sooner? How could I let somebody else make me feel this way or think this way and take on these beliefs? So yeah, I guess I would just, you know, I can't make anybody be willing to listen.
Right. And some
that's
people
not my job.
aren't ready for it.
And it's beautiful. There is nothing wrong with that. And that's what this work is about, is like, I see people for who they are. There is never judgment. There is no judgment about their desires. There's no judgment about their past. There's no judgment, because I see deeper than any of that. I see that at the core, we are all pure, beautiful beings. And it's things that we have experienced, things that we see, things that we hear that create this person. But that's not who we are. It's about peeling back those layers.
Exactly. There's so much, especially in women, that is expected, looks and body type and all that type of thing. And especially like women who've had children like you, and things like that, with the stretch marks, and this is bad and that is bad and this looks bad. And I see you as somebody that has fallen in love with the person that you are.
Yeah, this is my favorite topic because I see how many people lack self-worth and self-love and just believing that they deserve the things that they desire, whatever that may be. And I know for myself, I've always come across quite confident, but inside I was very insecure. I felt very small. And so now that through this work, my goal wasn't to necessarily be really, have this immense self-love. It's just sort of come with the work. And that's been one of the biggest things for me is that, and it's, I'm covered in stretch marks. I gained 30 kilos. I don't know what that is in pounds, but it's a lot of weight.
Me neither.
It's a lot. It's probably triple what's recommended.
Wow.
And I was tiny, and I gained a lot of weight. So I have a lot of stretch marks behind my knees, under my arms, my breasts, they're everywhere. On my tummy is have very loose skin, and it's just covered in stretch marks. And, I have a very, I'm curvaceous, and I have no shame in any of that because I'm so healthy in my mind, and I exercise, and, I am also a qualified personal trainer. So body image was massive. You had to look a particular way. And so now getting to this place where it's just purely to feel amazing, not to try and lift the heaviest weight. Not that there's anything wrong with that, by the way, but it needs to come from the right place.
It's a little different for me, but a lot the same, because I had a kidney transplant. So I have all kinds of scars all over me,
Yeah.
So it's like trying to be okay with yourself when you've had things happen to you that you can't change. Do you know what I mean?
And this is the thing, is that there are things that we can change if you have surgery, for example, right? But there are a lot of things that we can't change. Right. So why, my question is to everybody listening, to everybody watching, why would you want to live the rest of your life ashamed of something you cannot change? Embarrassed by something you cannot change? Because it is possible to fucking love the shit out of it.
Right. Exactly. There's so much negativity and so much body shaming and all that stuff that goes on, especially in high schools and young women, even men. Even men go through this.
Even men, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't have these big arms or whatever, and I got double chin or whatnot, and I don't care. I'm up here anyway, so it doesn't matter. But the image of yourself, when you look in the mirror, you see every single flaw that you have, and you just wonder if everybody else is seeing that same thing. With you, it seems like that you've embraced those things and can still move on, still put yourself out there. I think that's what I see, but can you speak to that? I think especially the body shaming issue and, the high school age type of thing where,
okay. Well, I'm only 23, so I can, I was in high school not that long ago, so I can absolutely speak to this. Especially because I was a very much an emotional eater. something happened in my childhood that it sort of clicked for me the other week, where that sort of triggered this need to suppress my feelings because I was punished for crying and expressing that. So I then developed this OCD tendencies, but they literally started to control my life. And then I feel as if it kind of, that settled down, and then it went to actually emotional eating. So I believe that actually started quite young for me. I've watched my mum do it. My mum's mum do it. So my grandmother did it as well. It's in my blood, you know, it's sort of very easily could use that as an excuse to not try and break the cycle. But so I was quite a chubby child. And although I appeared confident, like I said, I was still really insecure. And I was so aware that, you know, I was bigger than other girls. And in high school, I felt this pressure to lose weight so that boys would like me. And so, you know, maybe I could fit into a tiny skirt and, you know, all of that sort of stuff. And it definitely wasn't coming from a place of, so I feel good. It was coming from like this desperate need to try and fit into a box that is not a one size fits all by any means.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so, so evident, especially I feel nowadays with our social media. Like social media is incredible if used properly, but especially as, you know, as a teenager, if you aren't taught that you can censor what you see, what you watch, you can unfollow people that make you feel really shitty. And, you know, we're not taught, you know, we have English, we have maths, we have economics, but what about, you know, a subject on how to be an embodied woman or man and how to truly just not give a crap about what people say or think or feel about what society is telling you, because we're bombarded with messages that you are not enough everywhere we look.
Yeah, we are. And this can be, I mean, this can be life or death for some people. I mean, I've heard of people committing suicide over how they look and how people have treated them for how they look. Image is really, really big in our society and in our world, and you have to conform to certain this and that and whatever, and to go ahead and step out and say, wait a second, you know, I got to be happy with me. You know,
it's scary.
That is a message that young women, young men, they need that nowadays, because the anxiety and pressure and all this stuff that they have in life. I mean, just life in general, they don't need this extra pressure.
Because there's plenty of it.
There is. Absolutely. Yeah. So your work is really, really deeply important to you. You like to work with mothers and young women. What would you say to them about themselves? I mean, as in your advice for someone who's going through body shaming or, you know, something like that, where they're feeling pressured to be someone maybe that they don't even want to be.
My advice would be, firstly, to start prioritizing yourself. I feel like we live in a generation where our masculine and feminine energies are very imbalanced, and there's a lot of people pleasing and, you know, doing things to attract other people when, even if it doesn't feel good. So I would, prioritize yourself and do things that make you feel good. And sometimes that also means doing things that terrify you, but you know will lead to great things. Because when we are out of our comfort zone, no, you're right. When we're out of our comfort zone, that is where there is so many opportunities for growth.
There is, yeah.
And often, sometimes it can seem so small, but for you, it can be huge. So it could just literally be, you know, wearing a dress or something that would once make you feel very insecure, and just being like, I'm just going to own this. What's the worst that will ever happen?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's just, I think it's really just about coming back to what's real, not what am I creating with my mind? What's this, you know, not what story am I attaching to this, and what's actual fact?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so easy for us to start creating, you know, these stories and like, that's why that happened. And, oh, but if I do that, then that's going to happen. And how do you know? We're living in the future so much. It's just coming back to now, to our bodies, and to just take a deep breath and just go, I got this. And go do the small scary thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it can be a bit scarier, and just do more and more of that. Put you first.
That's
because you're
empowering.
fucking important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's empowering, though. I think that, like I said, and I know I've taken this to maybe a different place that I thought it might go. I didn't know I never know how this is going to work out when I do.
No, I love it.
But my deepest thing in my heart about everything in this is that person that feels they're not good enough, they're not wanted, they're not loved, they're not important enough. You know, they look in the mirror and say, oh my gosh, I'm so fat, or I'm so this, or I'm so that, or I have scars, I have psoriasis, or whatever the case may be. You know, we have such an image problem, I think, in society, where if you're not, you know, good looking or whatever it is, then you're not acceptable. And that's not true.
But it's never enough.
Yeah.
I was that tiny. I was very toned. I was tiny. I looked amazing, but I was miserable. So and I still wanted more. It's just, you're just trying to fill the hole, and it's never filled because you're outsourcing it. You're outsourcing things. You're outsourcing people, when what you should be doing is finding that within yourself. If you want to cuddle, you cuddle yourself. If you want to feel safe, you find safety in your own body.
That way you don't need others in a way.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not that, like, we need connection. You know, we're human beings. We need connection, but it's not about needing somebody to feel something. It's just about wanting them. Like, they just add beautiful deliciousness to your life. It's not about needing them because they're going to make me feel better.
Right.
You know, if somebody loves me, then I'm lovable.
Yes.
No, you're lovable exactly as you are. You just need to see that and believe that within yourself.
And belief is such a key to all of this too. It's what you believe about yourself. Yeah. It really is. When you see that person in the mirror, I've said this over and over on this show. When you look at yourself in the mirror, you see everything that's wrong. But what most people see is everything that's right, you know? And
it's all about where you are choosing to place your attention.
That's really good. That's really, really good. Now, in your work and what you have done, you're really, really young. I mean, I love the energy and I love the positivity, and I love the carrying the torch almost is what I see. And so do you get any brushback because you're young or your age?
Never. And it used to terrify me doing anything like this, because people would be like, you're only 23. What do you know? But I was made for this work, and I feel that in my soul. And it's almost like it's beyond me. Like, I've had control, of course, but there have been points where it's like, this has just happened the way it's meant to happen, and I didn't have a say. And not that I'm complaining, because I love it, but it's just like, I don't believe age dictates anything. I mean, even still, I've lived through a lot anyway. And, you know, like, I think it's really important to mention that I've been cheated on, you know, and that's also, like, my mother was cheated on. Like, that's all I knew. And, you know, I grew up with a narcissist as a stepfather, and, you know, so many things that I've been through has allowed me to come here. And this is the thing too, is we all have our own traumas of sorts. Now, I don't necessarily mean anything massive. Trauma can be, you know, just having a car accident, and your body becoming too overwhelmed with the emotions, with the dense energies of fear, sadness, whatever, and your nervous system just freaks out, basically. So when that happens, you can create traumas within your nervous system that can get stuck. So with this work, it's able to move that energy and release it out of your body.
So like the chakras is kind of what you're talking about.
Absolutely, but it can also just be
like pent up energy.
Yeah, in a way, like it can be, I feel like, so with this work, it's really, what we do is it's clearing the past. So it's clearing the traumas, the things that, you know, whether you've had somebody tell you, like your mother told you you're too fat. Mm-hmm. And so now when you go to eat something and you're like, oh, what would mum say? Or, you know, like, oh, if I eat this chocolate, I'm going to be fat, you know, I'm going to be ugly and I'm going to be fat. It's about getting rid of that. It's about releasing that trauma and just seeing it for what it was. Mm-hmm. And it's also about accepting everything that we've been through and realizing that it's all led to something, to this moment, which is beautiful and perfect. And you don't, you know, like the things that I've been through, I could have so many reasons to be resentful of people, but resentment is like drinking poison and hoping it'll kill the other person. I have so many reasons to, you know, be angry at, like my current partner was the one that cheated on me. Like I have so many reasons to be like, how could you do this to me? But then I also look and go, where was my part in this? And that's something that's really difficult for people, especially if you have trauma from being cheated on.
Yeah, that's very, very mature for your age. Very.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, and you know, I see it as my partner had his own traumas. He witnessed it himself, and it's also, you know, he didn't feel worthy enough. And I very much penetrated his heart because of the cheating. I became controlling and I made him feel small and I made him feel like he wasn't enough. So he tried to outsource that himself. We didn't know any different. And then it's about deciding that we want different and finding a way that aligns for us, that will give us that clarity and that will give us that wholeness that we're searching for. And so for some people, it might be this work. And for other people, it might be, you know, like meditation. Maybe that's their thing, you know, and it's different for everybody. But it's about choosing and deciding, I want better for myself. I don't want to be plagued by my trauma. I want to clear my past. You know, I don't want to be, you know, only surviving. I want to thrive.
And you know, and to be that, I think you hit on something in a relationship where you have to be extremely open. And I think that's what you guys did. And you know what I mean? I mean, you have to bring everything out, and sometimes that's painful. Sometimes that's hard to do, is what I'm saying.
And of course, especially if, you know, you fear what people are going to think. If you know, like I very openly own up to my contribution to those situations with my partner.
Yeah, it's hard to look in the mirror and decide it's my fault too when someone did that action.
And that is the biggest piece in this, is that we always make a choice. And we always, if you really, really want to have the life that you fucking desire, you really need to be like, hang on a second. What's going on? What am I doing? What is my part in this? Because it is always about us.
It is.
It's always about us. What are you allowing? I allowed, you know, my partner cheated on me once and then he did it again and then he did it again. I was allowing that to happen. Why was I expecting something different, a different result? It was my own fault in that sense, you know. He made his own choices, but I made mine too.
And you got to see, the only one you can change is yourself.
Oh yeah, that's been a very big lesson for me. It is physically impossible to change somebody else if they're not ready.
Right, exactly. And that's the hard part when you want to help people. I know that everything you're doing is coming from a deep part of your heart. I totally believe that. I believe
Mm-hmm.
you're 100% genuine and really do want to help people. And you're just trying to share your journey with everybody else, you know?
And it's because it's, you know, I have people message me all the time, especially mothers, but women as well, just like, thank you. And I've had
Mm-hmm.
people say that you got me through one of the toughest parts of my life by me just showing up and sharing
Mm-hmm.
my story
Yeah.
and owning the parts that I don't, you know, that are looked upon as bad, or, you know, looked at as like, you should be ashamed of that. Why would you
Mm-hmm.
share that so openly?
Mm-hmm.
Well, why not? Because it helps other people. Makes them
That's,
feel as if
mm-hmm.
they're not alone, that they are allowed to be human,
Yep.
and they are allowed to feel whatever it is that they're feeling. It's giving permission for them to show up and for them to feel whatever it is that they feel, no matter how wrong it may seem to society or to other people. If it's relevant to you, then it's relevant.
It's almost an awakening
Yeah.
on the inside. Just we do this show, or I do this show, and in every one I say that it's possible somebody's going to see something in you that's going to help them and change their life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what this is about. That's what you're about, to show up and have someone see that and say, oh my gosh, I couldn't say that myself, but she did. And so she's talking to me and almost for me to allow me to be able to speak what I feel.
I feel like I'm the permission slip for those people that are ready to hear my message.
Yep. Yeah, I see that too. I really do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So what do you have going on right now? Do you have like courses out or a
Yeah.
group
So
of some sort?
I do one-on-one
Mm-hmm.
coaching.
Okay.
And I'm also, I don't know when this will be shared, but in
Saturday.
January,
Saturday.
Saturday. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
January 6th, I have a course. It's a
Nice.
4-week online course that I'm doing, and it's all about really connecting to your body
Mm-hmm.
and really just beginning to cultivate this feeling of self-love and worthiness, and noticing the abundance in your life already. Because
That's
that
good.
was a really big thing for me, was I had to go through everything that I went through, like massive scarcity issues, you know, really miserable, always grasping for something external. And I really had to just go through it all to get to this place where it was like, you know what? Nothing in my external environment had changed, but my internal began changing. And that's when I started to realize, hang on, wow, like I feel so abundant. Like I feel like, wow, this is all amazing. You know, like I might not have a firm tummy, but like, God, it allowed me to have 2 babies and kept 2 babies alive, and my breasts kept my children alive. And like, it's just seeing it for what it really is, and the beauty in all that we have now, not what we want in 10 years, not what we want, you know, next week. It's about here now, because that's all we ever have.
Totally agree with that. Totally agree. I always say win the day. And it's basically the past is behind you and the future's not guaranteed. And I know people have a story. I was training someone at my job. This is also pretty hard for me to do. So I was training this guy, and I was trying to teach him about entrepreneurship, all kinds of different things, and feeding into his life. And I came into work, and I didn't see him the day before. And that happens sometimes. People fall off, or something happens, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of my supervisor people comes over and says, "I'm sorry about your training." I'm like, "Oh, he quit?" No, he died. Yeah.
Wow.
And so it's like we never know, you know. We're not even guaranteed tomorrow. So the only thing you have is today. I mean, we can plan, and it's good to plan things. I'm not saying we shouldn't, but stop and live in the moment instead of let's get past this day because tomorrow I have something really cool happening.
Yeah. I was the epitome of that. Always, I needed something to be happening. Otherwise, I felt so lost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the way it is. And it's anything you want to add, anything you want to say, and a message that you want to give to these people who are listening to you and following what you're saying right now. I want to give you an open floor for a minute.
I'm just feeling really called to share that I don't give a fuck what anyone says.
Awesome.
You are beautiful. And I don't care if you're male, female, non-binary, like you as you are beautiful. And it is possible for you to feel and embody that yourself. And I just want to give you hope. That's all I'm here for, is to give somebody, some people hope that they can have a better life for themselves.
And that's exactly why we're here. Exactly. You hit the nail right on the head with everything that you said. It resonates with me because that's exactly the same thing that I feel. We try to give people hope that, you know what, she's 23, and she's got this all figured out at 23. Goodness gracious.
Mostly. I'm still human.
I'm still figuring this out, and I'm like 50. So, it's like I'm still figuring things out about myself. In fact, I learned a lot today about things that I, just blew me away. But this has been awesome. This has been an awesome
thank
show.
you. This is, I love just...
It has been
chatting to you is amazing too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's been, I didn't know what to expect. I'll just be honest.
Neither.
And so I thought that I would just let it go and flow. And I believe that's happened. And I believe that we've been able to communicate effectively on things that are really hard to talk about, really difficult things. And in a really hopeful way, and to try to help people to get to that place of acceptance of themselves.
Yeah. It will change your life in every way.
It will. It will. I really appreciate you being on. Do you want to say goodbye to everybody?
Thank you. Bye. I love you all. You're all amazing.
Yes, I am. No, I'm just kidding.
You are.
I'm kidding. But anyway, so everybody just have a wonderful day. And I'm so happy you joined us today. I appreciate each and every one of you. Hit subscribe down below and the bell, whatever that does. You can hit that too. I appreciate you, and you have a wonderful night.